Stéphane, come and join me. We can already start talking about the school and stuff just to get the ball rolling. Perhaps have a seat and we'll...
So that's your seat.
It is my seat today. That can be your seat, and also
closer
here.
to
There
you?
we go. Yes, absolutely. Stéphane, thanks for joining me. I know you were supposed to be giving a speech right now, but I want to start because I think there's probably not a lot of people here. And
How much time do we have, actually? Because we're so late.
We're so late, but I think we'd planned to have 30 minutes in total, didn't we? So we've got plenty of time. But we don't have to have that. No. Firstly, I mean, just tell me about MD Lausanne. I mean, to begin with, because it's for me. I don't know the organization, so give me a bit of background.
Okay, so I'm a professor of strategy. My name is Stéphane Girod. I'm a professor of strategy at IMD. IMD is one of the world-leading institutions for executive education. So in the luxury space, we've actually just launched our community of 1,200 members who joined our various open and custom programs. I chair what I call the Luxury 2050 Initiative, or what IMD calls, which is about helping luxury brands future-proof themselves with agility, facing and adapting and shaping the future context that they're going to meet. So how do we do that? You know, so for example, I'm the program director for Richemont and Cartier on their sustainability transformation. I'm also an academic advisor to the Watches and Jewelry 2030 Initiative, which was spearheaded by Cartier and Kering. And I'm a contributor in Forbes. So if you are interested in topics of innovation, obviously you are, you can read my different columns. But first of all, I want to thank you very much for running this day, and I want to thank all the speakers, all of you, the participants, and in particular the startuppers, you know, that have run through the competition, and we're waiting eagerly who the winners are going to be. I must say that today we didn't hear the presentations of the students. I think we have one representative here, Pierre, if you are here, you know, is one of the three finalists on the student side, and you know, we really had very interesting projects. So maybe you will find out tomorrow who is winning also in that category. So that's a little bit in the nutshell what we're doing.
Okay, now you've mentioned some very important names of organizations you're working with, Richemont, etc. How do you work with them? I mean, this is an advisory role,
we work with most important luxury brands.
Yeah.
We do. So no, it's a very interesting sector for IMD, but you know, that's where I would like to go now, is a little bit about framing what we heard today. You know, I'm trying as a professor of strategy. Strategy is about.
So what you've heard a lot. I mean, it's been very varied, hasn't it? I mean,
very varied.
Even some of the sessions with someone who's in the distribution channel and the other one who's in the production area. It's difficult sometimes to marry all the things together. How have you been able to perceive what has been said today? Is it too broad to encapsulate in a short space?
I think I can see three things emerging. The first one is that we are not collectively giving enough attention to the challenges that we are facing on the climate side, on the geopolitical side, what I would bundle broadly the sustainability element, right? So I think what we heard today was a paramount of greenwashing, I'm sorry to say, but you know, I've never heard so far that consume to earn money, for example, you know, we have serious problems on that space, and I'm going to develop that in a moment with you. The second thing, which was really interesting, is that contrary to what happened with the first wave of digital transformation back 15 years ago, luxury brands are embracing the opportunities of digital, and most of the startup finalists had a component related to some form of digital transformation. So the key question is, what do we do with this digital? The third one, I would like to talk about the people-centric luxury, and both on the customer side, but also on the employee side. So these are themes that have resonated with me today. So if you allow me, I will go into each of these three. So I think one key topic that emerged today was that, and first of all, maybe let me summarize where we are. I think to live collectively the lifestyle we're living, we're consuming about 1.75 planets each year. This is totally unsustainable. Okay, you have to remember that there's a 50 or 60% chance that we will miss the 1.5 degree target on climate change, on rising temperature. This means that on average, temperatures in our latitude could go to 50 degrees every summer. Okay, so I let you imagine the potential catastrophic chain reactions that we're facing in terms of food supply, security of supply, human health. You know, in this context, what's the role of luxury in these type of societies? Just to give you an example, I'm already aware of luxury brands who are working on scenarios where there's no future for luxury. Okay, so there is hope in this situation if we turn this amount of innovation that we heard, which is about additive innovation, what's about more consumption, more production, to something that's going to be more respectful and more regenerative. Okay, so from additive innovation to positive impact innovation. And I encourage all of you, especially the entrepreneurs, to think about where can you drive your innovation, passion, and efforts to mitigate the impact that we're having. I think one big greenwashing example that I heard today was that because we're doing pre-loved and second-hand, we are sustainable. Currently, the amount of what's recycled in our economies is close to 15%. The amount of second-hand and first-hand consumption are both growing. 1 + 1 doesn't mean sustainability, right? So how do we do circularity in a way that's respectful of planetary boundaries will imply drastic business model transformation. And where I would like to make the link to technology, and I was really sorry not to hear about this today, is that with AI, with predictive analytics, we are probably going to have to move with models where it's no longer produced on stock, but it's going to be produced, everything will be produced on order. But the difference is that through technology, we can actually predict demand a little bit faster so that consumers or customers don't have to wait as long as the incredible delays that we are having today. You know, so that's where I would like to see some efforts and initiative in that domain. The second element where I would like to make a comment is that the luxury brands will have to lead where the conversation is going in the marketplace. So the elephant in the room, of course, is that the potential changes that we face will have implications on what growth means. And I think we have to be all honest with each other about what's going to be about growth, okay? It's probably not going to be about volume growth, consumption growth, production growth, right? So what growth will mean, for example, might become much more profitability-led growth. And what that means is that...
this was a concept that the New Zealand Prime Minister introduced a number of years ago, which shocked a lot of people, right?
Absolutely, but all the scientists are talking about this, right? So she was not a scientist, but nonetheless, she's listening to those concepts. So in terms of you as leaders, you know, are you prepared to go through these changes? The shareholders, are they prepared to accept a shift in paradigm? Are luxury brands, because the third big issue with in luxury is that I see a lot of schizophrenia. The people in the supply chain of luxury brands are doing amazing innovation at, you know, mitigating the negative impact that the sectors are causing. But marketing is about selling this dream. We heard this morning, luxury is a dream, but what kind of dream do you want to create? If we are facing this kind of potential problem. So the question I want to engage you is accelerate, think about business model innovation, think about positive impact innovation, not just additive innovation. Will you be part of the solution versus being part of the problem?
And I think it comes down also to a state. Thank you. Thank you. It comes down also to governance, doesn't it? I mean, it's not only up to business to decide how they do things, but perhaps the states need to rethink the way they build their economies.
Businesses, so if you want to find out what is profitable and virtuous circularity in our economies, I'm organizing the 7th Reinventing Luxury Lab at IMD, which is an open program for all executives across luxury sectors, where the whole day we're going to focus on the circular economy, 9th and 10th of November at IMD. So the problem is not governance. In the research that I'm going to launch during the Reinventing Luxury Lab, I still heard we are a luxury brand. We're even not interested in eco-conception, because our concept is our products need to be based on new things. If you don't reframe those mindsets, you're not going to move into the space of positive impact innovation, right? So after all, luxury brands have these strong advantages that they're leaders in communication, in storytelling, and it's up to them. You know, and the example, it exists in the fashion industry. You know, you have Gabriella Hearst leaving Chloe now, unfortunately, but she has fixed really clear boundaries about what kind of components, fabrics are coming in her collection. And if it's recycled, upcycled, she's proud of it. You know, so I'm sorry, it's also a question of what brands want to do with their business, not just what the regulation is about, okay? So the second point I wanted to make as a reflection, and by any means, you know, I'm sure you have many more insights today, but it's probably about the digital, you know. What I heard today is that we're going almost every year now, wave after wave of technological breakthroughs, you know. The metaverse was the hot thing a few years ago, a couple of years ago, even 18 months ago. This year it's ChatGPT, generative AI. But the common problem you will have with any technology is that if you're not clear about what customer pain points you're going to resolve, then it's a fad, but it's not an opportunity for you. So I mentioned the opportunity of using digital in order to transform for positive impact. Another idea, and we had some good presentations earlier, you know, it's about reinventing the customer experience online. You know, let's face it, it's still the bilinear two-dimension internet that was inventing 30 years ago. We haven't moved from there. So it's high time we continue develop that. And I was really enchanted to see some examples of customer experience using digital. What I want to say about the digital thing is that it means for most luxury brands that have been really geared for controlling everything, digital, embracing those digital opportunities, it's like for sustainability, you will need to build collaborations and partnerships. You will need ecosystems. And it will have to be transversal, those efforts, sometimes in your industry, sometimes outside even your industry. So it was good to hear about the examples coming from aviation, from e-commerce, from automobile, you know, that we heard today, because they really push the cross-fertilization boundary. The third element, if you allow me, Richard, is the people-centric thing, right? And I think that...
that's very important.
And I would like to relate it to the sustainability aspect, for example. You know, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not your perception, but I have the perception that this industry doesn't engage with their customers and their people in terms of adult to adult. right? With the customers, it's really about the so-called storytelling, which is for me immediately an evocation of I'm the parent and you are the children. You know, we are moving in a way where it's much more democratic. Think about it. You have now content generators on TikTok that are doing much better communication than any brand, sometimes using AI tools. So what is the role you want to leave in that creation? And I think generative AI will stimulate even more the discussion about the customers as a central piece in everything we do. And we heard this morning, there was a point of view about we all about products. Simone Ghibertoni was about we have great offerings, but that's not even where we start. We start from the patient, from the person. Very, very different mindset. And then we customize around that. On the employees, the people experience journey, I think that what we're going to see probably is much more empowerment, cross-functional teams, responding to uncertainty and fast-changing environments by mobilizing the collective power that are in your organizations, right? So this will mean that necessarily you will need to continue stepping up the level of learning and development of all employees. And it will mean that, you will encourage people to test things, to iterate, to learn, sometimes to make mistakes. But remember that if you have competent people, why shouldn't you empower them more to become drivers of innovation, right? And the paradigm shifts from tolerance from incompetence, or intolerance from incompetence rather, to tolerance for mistakes. And that's still also a cultural evolution that needs to happen. In a lot of luxury firms that come from this tradition of perfection, there's a culture of fear also.
Absolutely.
Right?
Especially in France where I'm living. I mean, I tell you what, it's
So
crazy.
how do you move to this culture of excellence? And I go back to my point about treating customers as adults. I think that at the moment, the luxury industry, if I go back to sustainability, is caught between greenwashing and greenwashing. We make false claims, or we don't talk about it at all. And the problem is that you need a minimum of transparency about this. I think the right conversation with customers is that we are aware that there are certain negative impact stories that we're making, but you know what? We're working hard on solving them. And by the way, these are the commitments we're making, and these are the progress we're making. That would be a much more adult-to-adult, informative, respectful conversation, because that's going to be my last point. Many of you, the luxury industries, are now the leading industries in Europe. LVMH world, European market cap, right? Mercedes-Benz is amongst the most important employers in Europe. So think about it, in 20 years, do you want society looking back at you and say, you knew it all along? Your only dream was to sell us a dream that's actually not reflecting where we are today. You don't want to be on that side of history. There's a duty of precaution. I know you invest in innovation that could help positive impact innovation, but all the scientists say we cannot bet on innovation only because the window of opportunity to close, to be ready and avoid the wrath of climate change is closing down. And I will leave you with that. Thank you very much.
Just very quickly, though, because you're dealing with students throughout the day and throughout the weeks. And
I'm dealing more with executives.
And but I mean also that there are students that are there at the school, so you're getting feedback from them, right? What do they tell you? I mean, they're the next generation.
The younger generation,
yeah.
like
the young.
MBA
When I say students,
30 years old.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ambiguity, about how the so-called Gen Z behaves. Because on the one hand, they will tell you that they want sustainable products, and they're paying attention to purpose and value. use. On the other hand, they're the first one to ask for convenience, to order something online, to shop and get a picture on Instagram and ship it back at immense impact, negative impact that is on. So they don't put 1 + 1 = 2. So I think, again, where do we want to educate them? Where do we want to drive society? And it goes back to my question about how do you see by 2030, 2040, 2050, the role of luxury in society?
If there was one thought or one moment from today that you captured, what would that be from today? Anything in particular that stood out?
I mean, you know, the eBay presentation about pre-love is sustainability. I'm sorry, it's not. Unless there are specific conditions put around that to precisely measure whether it's sustainable or not. But it's not per se, or consume to earn. I mean, yeah, these left me a little bit baffled, I must say.
And the China scenario is quite interesting as well, isn't it? Because of course we heard from Bo, who was very prolific in his description of everything that's going on over there, and that's like 1/3 of the planet, right? So we need to know what's going on there to follow that.
Yeah. So it's a paradox. China is now one of probably the leaders in key technologies for the energy and the transition. I don't know if you've heard, but China has mandated that most of the Gobi Desert be turned into a solar farm, a huge solar farm. So they're doing a lot on these infrastructures, but at the same time, I don't think the perception of people, citizens, the population, consumption behaviors, when I did my research with Chanel for the Mission 1.5 degree that we worked with them, you still hear that in China it's bad luck to buy a second-hand jacket. So there's a huge reset to be made, and frankly, I'm not sure that I would like to blame the Chinese at all. I think that everywhere in the world, think about it, luxury is about promoting ego and self-status, sustainability is about promoting collective thinking and solidarity, and the two are not necessarily easily compatible. So unless we find solutions to show where we have a positive impact on society and planet and communities and biospheres, we have to think harder. And again, it's a call for innovation in that space. And not all innovation is about positive impact innovation.
Absolutely. Stéphane, thank you very much for your time. And I think this has been very useful and very interesting for people to hear your opinion. Thank you. Thanks very much. And that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be seeing you back here first thing tomorrow morning. Enjoy your drinks and dinner if you're going out to the gala. Thank you.
Shape sung with